It's taken me a long time to kind of get to this point of just like kind of more like balance, I would say, because, I'm very much an optimist, by default and just kind of everything. I always like to look for like the positive in things. But I've also been surrounded by other leaders during my career who are the opposite, and they always look for what's potentially going to go wrong. Right. And so if you index one way or the other too much, like it's either rainbows and butterflies or it's like the world is coming to an end. And so, I didn't want to be always on the rainbows and butterfly side because you got to be able to be realistic about situations at times.
Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Good afternoon, evening, whatever time it is that you're listening to. I feel like a late night DJ trying to bring in my guy. We don't even call him Dennis. We call him Vibe City. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, dude. I'm doing well. Yeah. You have a face for radio. I think that's what they say, right?
That's very mean. Listen,
I love you.
listen. If you're the face of a company, there's many faces that you're wearing. Yeah. So it's all debatable.
No, so, you're a man of many talents, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. I was just telling Matt previously, some days, it's amazing the stuff you do. This morning, I was the delivery driver. Yeah. It's all, you cover all the gamut. All the hats. So for the people out there that don't know you, start your story where you want to, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. So my name is Dennis Ayotte. I'm a partner here at Leadhub. Leadhub, we are a home services agency. We do full service, everything from branding to SEO to anything you might need to help support your business. Became a partner here this year, which is, very exciting for me, career-long goal. And, I have a beautiful team of about 25 people total across, various departments and different roles and titles, and just super blessed to have a leadership team also that supports me and encourages me. So very blessed in those regards. And yeah, man, just excited to chat with you today.
So I find you to be, Ryan and I, my CEO, we are not on the same playing field. I am like nastily optimistic, in the face of like just sheer insanity. I'm just like, sounds good. It's going to be cool, man. We're going to do this crazy, somebody in the group, right? Has to be. I find you to be similar. Doesn't mean that we don't have our moments. Where did you cultivate that kind of outlook on life?
Yeah, man. So I would say like it's taken me a long time to kind of get to this point of just like kind of more like balance, I would say, because, I'm very much an optimist, by default and just kind of everything. I always like to look for like the positive in things. But I've also been surrounded by other leaders during my career who are the opposite, and they always look for what's potentially going to go wrong. Right. And so if you index one way or the other too much, like it's either rainbows and butterflies or it's like the world is coming to an end. And so, I didn't want to be always on the rainbows and butterfly side because you got to be able to be realistic about situations at times. And so I've been fortunate that I had some incredible mentors that I was able to like learn from and watch and understand how they operated. And I just carried that into kind of what I do. I also pride myself in being a really great listener. I'm always trying to listen to like the last three words somebody says. And if you think about that, you never know what the last three words are going to say. They're going to say. So you got to be engaged. And so I'm always trying to be a good listener and understand and, analyze things and try to make educated, guesses. But naturally, I will get excited about stuff and I might move a little bit faster on things without having all the information. And it's just, really reminding myself like, hey, let's stay balanced here and understand, especially as I've moved into, leadership roles and
Mhm.
understanding, you know, uh, in times of turmoil, you got to be the one that is like steadying the ship and making sure like through the storm we'll make it. And then, on the other side, when everything is good, is reminding everybody for, the hard work they've done to get us there, but also saying our work isn't done and there's still opportunity for us to get better and to grow. Because I'm a lifelong learner, man. I'm always trying to get better. I'm always, I want to be the greatest at what I do, no matter what I tackle. And so those are the things that motivate me, and I just have to remind myself to stay calm in certain moments and take a step back, because I could easily run in a direction 100 miles an hour without kind of stopping to assess everything. Something interesting about me and what we do here at Leadhub from a culture perspective, and if we haven't done yours yet, we got to get it done. But we do spirit animals for everybody. So we have this person. Her name is Julie Marvin. She is a Native American. She does spirit animal readings for like the Golden State Warriors, the San Francisco Giants, right? And we got connected with her through Ben, who is our founder and one of my partners. And we do spirit animals for everybody. My spirit animal, you want to guess what it is?
I have no idea.
So my spirit animal is an elk, right? And so one of the things that it says is that I need to slow down, and I need to pace myself at times and to make sure that I am charting the right path.
Hmm.
And it's so true. I got to remind myself, like, slow down, because I'm a pretty intense dude. I'm very passionate.
Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio. And so,
Hmm.
I have no shortage of passion when it comes to stuff like that. So, yeah, man, it's just a constant reminder like, hey, stay balanced, bring all the vibes. It's going to be okay either way.
Yeah. We
So,
did do it for me. Mine was a goat.
oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
So that means
So,
like what? You can like handle any terrain and you're just like, you know,
so people, okay, I used to cycle a lot.
okay.
And since I moved to the middle of nowhere, I don't cycle as much because I would die on these roads. But when I lived in Arizona, I cycled a bunch. In
Yeah.
Texas, I cycled a bunch.
Yeah.
And what I found to be the most wild is we would cycle in groups. And a lot of
Hmm.
times there were groups of people that you knew like one person, but you didn't know everybody. It's kind of the culture. You just kind of cycle, you meet up, you cycle.
Right.
There are so many different types of cyclers. And I could tell you everything about that person's personality by the
Yeah.
way they rode a bike.
Okay.
There was a ton of people that were great on the flats, like longevity, they could go
Yeah.
fast. But the people I gravitated towards hanging out with the most were the people that could take the hills the best.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, and those are my peeps.
Yeah.
Uh,
The tough
and
stuff, right?
yeah, and it's not fun. Nobody wants to do it. But
Right.
like, there's people that would be like, "Oh, this is a challenge. We're good." Like, and
Yeah.
so like one of my favorite things to do is I can tell people's spouses, I could tell people's bosses, I
Hmm.
could tell people's the owner of a company by meeting the people, not knowing that person.
Got you.
Because I don't think we realize how much things that are deep within us
Yeah.
attract the same people.
Yeah. Uh,
That kind of joke. It's like, oh, if you got a Tesla, like your five friends have a Tesla. Like, yeah, but
yeah.
there's like other things even farther than that.
Yeah.
After a period of time, a work environment, like yeah, people do different jobs, but typically you attract the same people to that job, or they're not going to want to stay.
Got you. That's pretty cool. How did you like develop that skill? Is it just intuition or you just
Intuition, a long life. Like the other day, I met a company that has 400 employees. I met like 15 of them. I literally word for word said exactly what the boss would be like, the
right?
owner. When
Yeah.
I met him, he was exactly that. So
Got you.
yeah,
Okay.
and he was like, "Look, you attract what you attract." Like he's
Yeah.
like, "I hire what I'm looking for," and so what I'm saying all that to say is that I think most people they're looking for external reasons or external things to change them. You
Yeah.
change yourself and watch your environment around you change.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It makes me think about, they always talk about like you are the company you keep, and that,
Sure.
A players want to play with A players, and so I think of that stuff a lot of time as well. And as you kind of talk about it, I think about my leadership and my reflection of them. And because a lot of times I do want, to be a reflection of them, and be able to, obviously make them proud, but also, help fulfill the vision that they've set forth on what they want us to accomplish. So that's cool, man.
See, there's not a single bone in your body that doesn't ooze leadership. The only issue I would assume as you continue to grow in your role was you can be too empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, man. I was talking about it this morning, and you always get those Instagram reels and little shorts and stuff, which I love watching yours, by the way. But I saw one the other day, and it's like, to be a leader, you have to be courageous enough to be disliked, right?
Yeah.
And part of like the fabric of who I've always been, the nice guy, and I assert my authority in different ways than some folks might, right? You
Sure.
got your kind of, iron fist type of leaders and stuff like that. I'm not really that way. I'm very, much communication based, and want to understand the why, but also make it clear why, the things I ask are important. So that's one thing that I did struggle with early on is, I got to be liked by everybody, and not get in my feelings when somebody didn't, right? Because I used to get loyalty kind of mixed up in thinking that you had to be loyal to one person, but it's really the whole of the organization. And, it's not just about one person. And so, it still sometimes is tough to accept, because no one wants to be disliked, at least for me. And so, yeah, but it's a good point you bring up. It's something that I think about, and again, something just part of my leadership journey that I remind myself of.
See, I think what I've noticed, and this kind of hit me last week, is I don't think we view leadership as presence when really it is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the employees don't need something from us. They want to see us there.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Because that is stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when people have stability, their anxiety, their feelings are comfortable,
Yeah.
right? And so they're going to perform better. We think leadership is, in your face or rah rah or whatever motivation. And at the end of the day, it's, I think it's the most interesting topic that is out there because it's so fluid. It means so many things to everybody. I told Brendan this last week. I was listening to my new favorite podcast called The Glue Guys. It's Shane Battier, Alex Smith, and the guy who took Instacart IPO.
Okay.
And they were talking about leadership, and he did a bunch of talks for Google.
Okay.
And he was talking to the Google developers. And so since Google tracked keywords, okay, leadership has been in the 91 percentile and up. Most years it's 99%. Googled term, okay? Googled term, right? Teammate had been Googled 1%.
Wow.
And so we all want leadership. We all seek it. We're all trying to learn it for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I believe that it can only be learned through doing, right? And you have to be comfortable making mistakes, because as a leader, really at the end of the day, as long as you admit, so what I've been doing now is my team, if we're in we're trying to negotiate a deal or close something that's like, we need it, like they're like, how are you? Does this stress you out? And I'm like, no, not at all. This is great. I'm good. I have to like do that thing.
For sure,
but then after it closes, I've told them like 3 days later, I was like, oh God, I can't believe we got that done. And they're like, I knew it. And I'm like, yeah, but in the moment I had to betray that I had it together,
Yeah, you got to be the steady force in it all, and it's like, Similar to like your parents, like sometimes you never knew anything was wrong, until
Mm-hmm.
years later, where they say,
Mm-hmm.
actually, yeah, this was a big deal. But they got to remain steady because what we do is like very much like contagious, and the emotion and energy we put out, the team feels it and they feed off of it and they become a reflection of us. And so, even with my team of managers and the leaders I have under me, I'm always constantly reminding them we got to be very self aware of our own actions and what we're doing and portraying, because the team will pick up on that and they will mirror that as well. So, it's another good point for sure.
So as you've progressed in your career
Yeah.
and you've kind of found your home where you're at, what would be your advice to anybody out there entering the job market, or say they're in college, or just looking to make a shift in your career? Like what things have served you well in your career?
Yeah, I would say there's a few things. You know, check your ego, at the door. Be coachable, right? That's going to be big, and have passion, right? So somebody can come in and have an amazing, resume, but if they're not passionate about what they're doing, and I have somebody that's maybe less qualified, I'm usually going to pick them over that person most of the time. And if they're coachable as
Mm-hmm.
well. So coachability and passion are the two things that I really look for. With coachability, you could say a lot of people, may not have an ego. Sometimes they do. It's not always a bad thing, because you want people to be great and to, succeed in their role. So those are the first two things I would say, especially for somebody who is fresh out of college and coming in. Have a thirst for knowledge, man, like an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, especially coming out of college. You gotta be willing to want to learn everything you can about the field or role that you're going into. And I think there's been a false kind of perception, at least in the social kind of media space. One thing that we see is like everyone believes that they are a social media content producer or influencer or things like that. And it's hard for people, not to get that. And so sometimes they come in and their britches are a little too big, and I will immediately start, asking them questions about it, and then it really humbles them pretty quickly once they realize like, oh wow, I'm missing many layers, to
Yeah.
this. Sometimes I get satisfaction from it. I'm not gonna
You know
lie.
what they call that, right, in Texas?
What's that?
All hat, no cattle.
Yeah, exactly. We used to call it back in like the football days. It was like look like Tarzan, play like Jane. I don't know if you ever heard that one, but
Yes, I have.
kind
Yes.
of a similar deal there. So, so be coachable, have passion, and have a thirst for knowledge. So that's what I would tell somebody coming out. Somebody is looking to maybe make like a career change and kind of go a different route, because that's what I did. I wasn't always in like the marketing space. The most important thing here is to be able to merchandise your transferable skills, right? Even for folks who don't feel that they're that qualified for a role, I guarantee you can find, because of your past experience, I guarantee you can find in your past experience transferable skills that will align what needs to be with a current role. So I'll give you an example. So say you're like a cashier at a grocery store, right? And your job every night is like you got to count your drawer. You got to make sure all the money was there, right? You got to interact with customers and ensure that you're providing good service. Well, you could take those skills and align them with what potentially an account executive would be on the marketing side, right? Because similarly to the customer service you need to provide, at the cash register and be what we would call client facing, you got to do the same thing on the account service side. right? You got to be able to be client facing, communicate with them, and, make them feel good about, what is occurring there. The whole thing about like balancing, your drawer at the end of the day and making sure every dollar is accounted for. Similar thing in the account executive role in terms of owning a marketing plan and understanding that all your dollars and cents like line up, and like, I spent this and it aligns with this. And at the end of the day, it all balances out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so those might not be the greatest examples, but just to try to illustrate, like really look for transferable skills. Like what can I merchandise from my past roles that aligns with this new kind of job description that I'm looking for. And so that's probably the best piece of advice for somebody. And then all the other stuff I just said too about being passionate and coachable, and a thirst for knowledge, I think that applies to anybody regardless of kind of where you at or what stage in life. And I think that's one thing that served me super well, is that I'm always willing to learn, dude. Like I'm like Kobe Bryant, dude. I want to go work out with Akeem Olajuwon. I want to go work out with the goats, and I want to know, how did you do the dream shake? Teach me the dream shake, dude, because I'm gonna put that in my arsenal, and I'm gonna go out and put up 70 points a game. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, the leaders that I get to work with, dude, I want to know, what is the secret sauce you got going on? Because I'm going to add that to my vibes, baby. And we're going to just level up. And to do that, you have to be humble and willing to say, hey, there's probably a better way or an alternate way to do this. And sometimes people get caught up too much in thinking that their way, is the best way potentially, or the only way. And I, think that there are some reasons for that. Number one, people don't ever want to give the sense that they're wrong. Cause I think culturally, when you go through school and everything, if you get a wrong answer, it's like bad, no, this isn't any good. Right. Which being wrong is just an opportunity to find out how to become right. And, so that I think is one thing. Other people, they just want to, not be able to check their ego and say, okay, you know what, maybe I don't, know it all, or I'm not exactly, sure if I'm doing it the right way. So I think people get in their own heads about why they can't just let their guard down and say, okay, let me learn from this person and see what's up. So any opportunity I get, even our competition, man, I'm like, I want to know what you're doing. How are you reporting? How are you going out and getting clients? How are you doing this? Right? There's a reason they became successful. And if I can take all the best parts and, bring them within my organization and coach my team on it, dude, you better believe I'm going to do it, because I want a team of rock stars who have every single tool that they need to be successful. So yeah, man. So that's the spiel there.
No, I love it. I think I always think to myself, take what you want and leave behind what you don't. Right.
Yeah.
Like, so when I'm at an event, like I am who I am. I can't help it. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, but like I'm going to an event, business conference in 2 weeks, and I bought the lowest ticket possible because I refuse to go to any talks, because that's not my sauce. That I made it. My sauce is in between the talks, and so. But what I do when I do go to talks is I watch how people speak to the crowd. I watch how they mannerism. I'm studying people. I'm saying, and now we've entered a different world where, right or wrong, people have a podcast, they have a book they've written. So people, they elevate them when, technically there's great people everywhere. Right. And so my question that I ask everybody is, this is my kind of fun question, is like, so your business only made $100,000 for 10 years straight, but on year 10, you sold it for 200 million. Were you not successful the previous 10 years?
Oh, I think so, 100%. Like if the end result was something like that.
Don't say that you're successful and great when you've seen the end. Like the greatness could be right in front of you, and like if you're so blind to, your own ego and you don't ask questions, then you're not going to figure it out, because there's different aspects of business that I find riveting. And for me, the thing I'm obsessed with now is these like no-name businesses that you've never heard of that are making like that have like huge employees, like, and they treat everybody with respect and they make tons of money and nobody's ever heard of them. Like, I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah,
Like,
there's probably a ton of those companies out there. It's wild,
and why is that the case? Because they've kept the main thing the main thing.
Yeah. And we talk about that all the time. Like, from a marketing standpoint, it's like, the gentleman we were talking about not too long ago, you look at his branding and his trucks, you're like, how? And then we're like looking in the back end, they're ranking number one, like on, the SERPs and, their website is, it's just like, how is this happening? But it just goes to show you, like, not all the recipes need to be the same. I think there are recipes that will make you successful and get you there, but it doesn't mean everybody's got like to chart the same path and follow the same kind of route to get there. So
I love it. If people want to reach out to they want to find you, how would they do that?
Yeah. You can just hit me up, find me on LinkedIn, just Dennis Ayotte. There's not a ton of us. So Ayotte, Ayotte, like the boat is what I tell everybody. One day I'm going to be rich and own a yacht, because I get a yachty. When I moved to San Antonio, this rich Hispanic culture had become Ayotte.
See, that's so much better. Ayotte.
Yeah. So, but find me on LinkedIn. Most of my handles are just at Dennis Ayotte. So Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff is pretty easy to find.
Dude, we should create a cartoon that's a superhero that heals the community through vibes.
Dude, let's do it. I love it. I'm gonna get on ChatGPT right now, dude.
There you go. It's done. Your idea. See, I'm an idea machine. Guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, send it around to a friend. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.